whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show on this Supreme Court hearing day. Of course, the U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments in the challenge to Donald Trump's eligibility to appear on the ballot. This is out of Colorado. We're going to dip into it in just a moment. I don't know if you guys have been listening to it this morning. It's crazy. I've only been listening for a half an hour, and I feel like it's not looking good of keeping him off the ballot. So we will dip in just a moment. Hopefully, Kim McAllister will be here shortly to join us as well. Click the thumbs up button. Show your support for the show. We really do appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who purchased raffle tickets. Let me show you what, and I'll be giving those out either before or after Jefferson Graham later on this morning. Want to make sure everybody's there if you guys want to see it live. The cooler, of course, is right there on the left. The vintage KGO wine glasses are on the right. So we'll be giving those out later on this morning. I have all the names in, and thank you everybody for supporting the show in this way because we depend on you. Kim and I, we are 100% crowdfunded. And so if you can support us in any way, we do appreciate it, and we like to make it fun. I also have a new survey out. I'm going to try to do these, I guess, once a month. Because I did the show one around the New Year's time. So I'm like, let's just keep getting things out. This one's about self-improvement. I have some things in the works. And so those that are interested, please respond to the survey. It has all things to do with self-improvement. And check your emails. If you haven't received it, if I don't have your email address, check the show notes. I'll be putting it in. It should be right at the top of the description that the February survey is here, so you guys can check that out. And thank you to everybody that's already, I just put it out yesterday, that's already responded. So that's awesome. Another way to support the show, of course, is the super chat. You could buy a super sticker, a super thanks, and it's just the $sign under the live chat box, and we appreciate donations that way. And then the number one way to support the show is either through our Patreon, which you could find the link at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Our Patreon link is right there. You can bump up your donation if you can afford a little bit more because we are 100% crowdfunded. And then I know a lot of you like the PayPal. So just go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and then put the show's email, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Okay, so let's do this, people. I am going to talk about the lawsuit over that child that went to the Kansas City Chiefs game. I thought it was apropos given, show my Niners shirt right there. This is my like blingy 49er shirt. So the game's coming up. This kid had half black, half red for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was wearing this headdress, this Native American headdress. And he was called out by an African-American reporter for wearing blackface. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Also in Canada, there's another trans athlete controversy going on. It was a little nuts because the reporter is literally in the court, on the volleyball court, kind of talking crap about these trans athletes. But my question is going to be, have we hit the point where we need to just create another league? That there's becoming, and I'm not saying it's the same amount, that there's becoming enough transgender athletes that either one, they can create their own league and compete against each other, so there's no question, or two, create a league that, cisgendered athletes can play in as well if they choose. And is that wrong in some way? So we'll talk about that. And then I need to get to Gina Carano. She was on Star Wars Mandalorian. I loved her actually in that show. But she was fired by LucasFilm / Disney because of some pretty horrific social media posts that she made. And now she wants her job back. And of course, guess who's supporting her? none other than Elon Musk, and throwing the weight of his money behind this lawsuit. She wants to be hired back. My question is, why would you want to be hired back at a company that you talk crap about and that quote unquote did this to you? So we will talk about that as well. But I'm literally enthralled with the Supreme Court case. Let's just dip into it a little bit, because obviously it's freaking important right now to be listening to it. So let's listen in live. Let me just share my screen. Let's bring this up. Here we go. Hold on. And it's just been infuriating. So here we go.
Being on the ballot, but
Let's go.
can have an issue about being on the ballot, but it's sort of a hybrid, oftentimes First Amendment, 14th Amendment.
So this is Shannon Stevenson, the Colorado Solicitor General, obviously arguing for him being removed from the ballot.
These decisions might be made different ways in different states. Maybe a Secretary of State makes it in one state with very little process, or a process more like Colorado's could be followed by others. Would our standard of review of the record vary depending on the procedure employed by the state?
I think this court has tremendous discretion to decide its standard of review, and it might be based on the process that was employed by an individual state. I think you could exercise the independent review of Bois Corp that Mr. Murray talked about, or you could give deference where you have a full-blown proceeding like the one here that had all the protections of rules of evidence and cross-examination and things like that.
I'm sorry. You think we should give deference in reviewing the factual record, the legal conclusions? What, in other words, we shouldn't undertake a de novo review?
I don't think the review should be de novo. However, I am amenable to the suggestion that the court would do the Bois Corp type independent review that might provide greater certainty to states around the country as to what the court's position is on the factual record in this case.
Of course, if it were not de novo review, we could reach disparate results even on the same record. Right?
De novo means from the beginning.
I think that's possible.
I take it your position is that this disqualification is really the same as any other disqualification, age or residence or what have you.
That's correct.
And what if I were to push back on that and say, well, this disqualification, number one, it's in the 14th Amendment, and the point of the 14th Amendment was to take away certain powers from the states. Number two, Section 3 itself gives Congress a very definite role, which Mr. Mitchell says is interfered with by the ability of states to take somebody off the ballot. Maybe number three, it's just more complicated and more contested. And if you want, more political. And why don't all of those things make a difference in our thinking about this qualification as opposed to any other?
And so, Your Honor, I think the trouble with the categorizing the insurrection issue as necessarily more difficult is it's just an assumption that's coming up, I think, because of this case. And again, back to the Chief Justice's point, we could have a very easy case under the 14th Amendment with an avowed insurrectionist who, came in and wrote on his paperwork, I engaged in an insurrection in violation of the 14th Amendment. And it would be an open and shut case as to whether or not that person would meet the qualifications to be on the Colorado ballot. With respect to your other questions about the 14th Amendment, my positions are based on the assumption that under the 14th Amendment, the states have the power to enforce Section 3, just like they do other presidential qualifications. And I would defer to the electors' arguments on those points.
She's doing much better than Murray did, by the way, if you guys watched him.
That does recognize non-mutual collateral estoppel makes a determination using whatever procedures it decides to adopt that a particular candidate is an insurrectionist. Could that have a cascading effect? And so the decision by a court in one state, the decision by a single judge whose factual findings are given deference, maybe an elected trial judge, would have potentially an enormous effect on the candidates who run for president across the country. Is that something we should be concerned about?
I think you should be concerned about it, Your Honor, but I think the concern is not as high as maybe it's made out to be in particularly some of the amicus briefs. And again, under Article 2, there is a huge amount of disparity in candidates that end up on the ballot on different states in every election.
Yep.
Just this election, there's a candidate who Colorado excluded from the primary ballot who was on the ballot in other states, even though he is not a natural born citizen. And that's just that's a feature of our process. It's not a bug. And then I think with respect to the decision making, and we're here so that this court can give us nationwide guidance on some of the legal principles that are involved. I think that reduces the potential amount of disparity that would arise between the states. And then with respect to the factual record and how that gets issued and implemented, the states have processes for this. And I think we need to let that play out and accept that there may be some messiness of federalism here, because that's what the Electors Clause assumes will happen. And if different states apply their principles of collateral estoppel and come to different results, that's okay. And Congress can act at any time if it thinks that it's truly federalism run amok.
Justice Thomas, anything further? Justice Alito?
Well, just one further question, and it's along the same lines of a lot of other questions. We've been told that if what Colorado did here is sustained, other states are going to retaliate, and they're going to potentially exclude another candidate from the ballot. What about that situation?
Your Honor, I think we have to have faith in our system that people will follow their election processes appropriately, that they will take realistic views of what insurrection is under the 14th Amendment. Courts will review those decisions. This court may review some of them, but I don't think that this court should take those threats too seriously in its resolution of this case.
You don't think that's a serious threat?
I think we have processes.
We should proceed on the assumption that it's not a serious threat.
I think we have institutions in place to handle those types of allegations.
What are those institutions?
Our states, their own electoral rules, the administrators who enforce those rules, the courts that will review those decisions, and up to this court to ultimately review that decision.
Justice Sotomayor? Justice Kagan? Justice Kavanaugh? Justice Jackson? Anything further?
They seem to be done with them.
Counsel.
All right.
Rebuttal, Mr. Mitchell?
Now let's listen a little bit longer, and then, obviously this is going to take a bit of time.
And Ms. Stevenson rely heavily on the Electors Clause.
I want to hear this.
It gives the legislature of each state to direct the manner of appointing presidential electors. But that prerogative under Article 2 must be exercised in a manner consistent with other constitutional provisions and restrictions. And Justice Kagan alluded to one of those restrictions that might be imposed by the First Amendment, but there are others. A state cannot use its power under Article 2's Electors Clause to instruct its presidential electors only to vote for white candidates. That would violate the Equal Protection Clause. But nor can it exercise its power in a manner that would violate the constitutional holding of U.S. term limits against Thornton. And they cannot use the Electors Clause as an excuse to impose additional qualifications for the presidency that go beyond what the Constitution enumerates.
Okay, I don't know what happened here, but ABC's.
Line that the candidate has for obtaining a congressional waiver. There has still been no answer from the Anderson litigants on how to distinguish the congressional residency cases, where the courts of appeals, not decisions from this court, but the courts of appeals in applying this court's holding in U.S. term limits have unanimously disapproved state laws requiring congressional candidates to show that they inhabit the state from which they seek election prior to election day. And there still, in our view, is no possible way to distinguish those from the situation below in the Colorado Supreme Court. Mr. Murray also invoked the de facto officer doctrine as a possible way to mitigate.
So it's Jonathan Mitchell, Trump's counsel,
the decision of this court that rejects the rationale of Griffin's case, and that also agrees with Mr. Murray's contentions that President Trump is disqualified from holding office on account of the events of January 6th, and that he's covered by Section 3 as an officer of the United States. This court's recent decisions in Lucia and Arthrex held that officers who were unconstitutionally appointed under Article 2 and that made decisions under the APA that were attacked as invalid, those decisions were still vacated, and this court did not use any variant of the de facto officer doctrine to salvage the decisions that were made by these unconstitutionally appointed officers. There is no way to escape the conclusion that if this court rejects Griffin's case and also agrees with Mr. Murray's construction of Section 3, that every executive action taken by the Trump administration during its last 2 weeks in office is vulnerable to attack under the APA, and further, that if President Trump is reelected and sworn in as the next president, that any executive action that he takes could be attacked in federal court by anyone who continues to believe that President Trump is barred from office under Section 3. I'm happy to answer any other questions that the court may have.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you.
The case is submitted.
So there you go.
The honorable court is now adjourned.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, that was kind of perfect timing with the whole entire thing. How are you guys feeling about this? Now, when I'll reiterate, when I hopped on, Mitchell, who was arguing for Colorado, didn't seem to be doing well. I've been reading a lot of analysis about this, and it does seem, one, there is this whole argument of office versus officer, which just drives me nuts. It's the office of president. I don't know if Colorado is going to win this. It really does seem, like a long shot that Donald Trump is going to be kept off the ballot in Colorado. Here's my question to you guys. What do you think the consequence will be if Trump is allowed on all of the ballots and he kind of gets this win? And I'm going to say quote unquote win because I still think, obviously the other court cases still stand. But yeah, Randy, unfortunately, I think you may be right. It didn't sound like Colorado was winning this case. Now, again, I'm not a judge, but making the argument earlier, and I think it was Neil Gorsuch was kind of hammering Murray, the attorney for Colorado, regarding this idea of what do you want us to do? What kind of chaos would it be? When would the insurrectionist charge apply? And I think Murray stumbled when he said something to the effect of the moment it happens, as if there's no due justice or due process, I mean. And that's the problem. The problem is there is no precedent for this. That's the biggest problem, is that the framers of our Constitution wrote these words, and yet they haven't been tested yet. They haven't been tested yet. And it looks to me like Donald Trump in this case is going to be the test of it. States' powers, their ability to use the Constitution, all of those things are going to come into effect. And I'm worried. Of course, I'm worried. There are some people that say it's going to be 9-0 for Trump to remain on the ballot. And the thing is, I don't really feel like there's that much of a question that his words incited an insurrection. I just don't. I don't see how anybody can look at the speech that he gave. And I don't give a crap. I really don't care. Oh, we're going to walk peacefully. The moment it started, his ass should have been on there. Been like, stop, this is wrong. I want someone to ask Trump, what took you so long? What took you so long to say something? And then when he did say something, do you remember? Oh, we love you. All of these placating words. There is a question also of if Clarence Thomas should have ever been allowed to sit on this, of course, given the fact that his wife is one of these, MAGA people who thinks the election was stolen. It's absolutely ridiculous. Brian, I don't know where Kim is. Hopefully something's not wrong. I really hope. Usually she is on by now. Sometimes she runs a little late, but I don't know. I texted her. I haven't heard back. So hopefully she's just overslept, but we don't know where Kim is, but hopefully she'll join us soon. And again, Jefferson Graham will be joining us in a little more than a half an hour. And he's going to teach us some fun tips and tricks with our phones like he does every Thursday. John says, from a technical standpoint, Trump can be removed. He did engage in insurrection and gave aid and support to the insurrectionists, but politically, I don't see the U.S. Supreme Court allowing his removal. God, it sucks though. I mean, where is the check on the president and the precedent? The precedent that it sets. Nobody should be above the law. Nobody should be above the law. And the argument that obviously Colorado is making is states are allowed to decide their own electors. It really, really sucks that it doesn't look, I mean, again, I am not a Supreme Court expert, a justice expert, law expert. Tomorrow, John Rothman will be on the show. And I'm sure he'll have a lot of thoughts on this. But yes, exactly, Vicky. It's the precedent that this sets. Luis makes a good point. Irony, the same people demanding that states have the right to determine their laws on abortion are the same ones denying Colorado to do just that. Inconsistent. Now, Elmo, not Elmo, OCB, good point also. Congress is the check on the president, period. But given, and I'm pausing because my mind is exploding. This Congress, this ineffectual Congress, this completely divided Congress, the GOP is in disarray. They won't work with the Democrats. They don't even see the fact. The tune that has changed from the day after January 6th, the day after January 6th to now is insane. I mean, I'm talking to you, Kevin McCarthy, even though he's gone. You know, that's the problem, is that there's still people that have drank the Kool-Aid, and there's too many in Congress to check the president. It sucks. It really, really sucks. Sandy is not very optimistic, says the Supreme Court will somehow find that Trump is above the law, but no other president will ever be allowed to be above the law. These rules only apply to Trump. I will never understand it. Yeah. And I say it, and again, I'm not meaning anything, fatal. I just wish Trump would go away. I just wish he would go away. I wish that there was something that distracted him. Like he loved his businesses enough, or was thrown in prison for the many crimes he's committed. But no, I mean, the guy is called Teflon Don for a reason. And that's why. Yeah, I really understand the pessimism that something is going to be done. Vilma, one day in the distant future, a lot of decisions made by this Supreme Court will be seen as aired. I would say absolutely. Phineas, the traitors from January 6th are still in Congress, Nikki. Yeah. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Kevin McCarthy got his comeuppance, but that just means that the House continues to be in disarray. Mike Johnson, someone was saying earlier, and I had to look it up. It was before the show even started. Who was it? Oh, it was you, Lori, which just frightened me. Far-right anti-LGBT Christian nationalist pastor Jack Hibbs is invited to deliver prayers in Congress by House Speaker Mike Johnson. Gilead, here we come. I had to look him up. I didn't know who Jack Hibbs was. I'm looking him up right now. Yeah, he put out, this came out 2 days ago in the Christian Post. This is who Mike Johnson has chosen to give the prayer. He put out a list of 5 things Christians will go to war over this past year as part of a sermon series at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, California. He says, I'm not talking about bombs, guns, and missiles. I'm talking about an all-out war on everything, from the spiritual realm, which is invisible, but certainly to the physical world. And the year of 2022 will be unlike anything else. He thinks, first off, the war will be against the truth. I wonder what his truth is. Think about the pain behind that question. Think about the confusion behind the question that Jesus asked, what is truth? The second thing that the war of 2024 will be centered on, according to Hibbs, will be the war against facts, which I would say was truth. The third thing will be war against faith, but not all faiths, of course, just the Christian faith, he literally says. The fourth aspect of this war in 2024 will be the war against the church, which I would assume is the Catholic Church. And the fifth would be a war against marriage, which I guess speaks for itself. It's frightening. It's again, we were a country that escaped England, right? Didn't want a king, wanted religious freedom, and it seems like we're all the way back the way we used to be. All right. Look who's I don't know what happened, but let's find out what happened to Kim McAllister. She has joined us today. Hi. Are you okay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is
Are
this
you
working?
okay?
Yeah, Mike, I've had major computer issues, and I don't know if it. Okay, yeah, this big thing just flashed up on my screen, so I'm not sure if I'm on camera or not. But yeah, so I've had an issue.
You are on camera. You look perfect. You looked exactly the way you always do.
Oh,
sorry, you're having computer issues. I had them earlier. You have them today. So
did you have them today too?
No, I had them. Well, I had them 2 days ago when I kept glitching out. So it's your turn to have computer issues. It happens, my friend. Yeah, we were listening to the Supreme Court ruling. They just wrapped up. Regarding the Colorado case. And we were saying it doesn't look good. I don't think it looks good. I think Trump is going to remain on the ballot, unfortunately. And this Congress is ineffectual. It sucks. It really, really sucks. But I don't know what more we can do except continue to speak truth and see what happens. But I don't think it's going to happen with the Supreme Court, at least as far as this case, keeping him off the ballot.
Yeah. It's disappointing because it seems so cut and dried to me. You know, it just seems
I would say so.
There it is in black and white, running in the Constitution. But okay,
exactly.
Whatever you say.
Now, I know that you had computer problems. Do you have headlines? Because I can move on if you're not ready for headlines.
No, I always have that. It's always ready to go.
Well, Kim's always ready to go because she's a darn professional, unlike Donald Trump. Okay, let's do some headlines. When we come back, I do want to get into the lawsuit over that Kansas City Chiefs fan kid who went viral because of how he looked at the game.
I saw that.
Here's the picture. Let me just show you guys real quick before we get into it. There he is. He's at the game. He's wearing the headdress, half black, half red face. And a reporter for Deadspin said that he was wearing blackface. After Kim's news, we'll get into this because the family is suing. I think that's the wrong move. But you guys let me know if that was your kid. And they're blasting him all over. He goes viral for quote unquote wearing blackface in addition to the Native American headdress. What would you do? So let us know in the comments. We'll talk about that. Click the thumbs up button. We will do the raffle before Jefferson Graham or after Jefferson Graham in the next part of the show. The second part of the show, we'll do that. But let's do some other headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, as Nikki was mentioning, the Supreme Court is considering whether Colorado can disqualify Donald Trump from running for president because he engaged in an insurrection during the Capitol attack. Trump's attorney argued today that an insurrection needs to be an organized effort to overthrow the government and that this was not the case on January 6th. A ruling in favor of Trump would stop other states from attempting to do the same thing in removing his name from the ballot. 5 U.S. Marines are dead after their helicopter went missing in California, a story we were covering yesterday here on the Nikki Medoro Show. The bodies of the Marines were found this morning after a search began for their helicopter when it was reported overdue early Wednesday morning. The Marines were taking part in a training flight from Creech Air Force Base near Las Vegas when the helicopter was reported overdue. It came down in a forest about 40 miles from San Diego.
That's so sad. I mean, my heart. And you know, when it's these training type of exercises, I don't know why it hits me even harder. You just don't think it's going to happen during stuff like that.
A confidential informant made secret recordings of Senator Bob Menendez, according to this new court filing in his federal bribery case. Federal prosecutors claim the recording discussing the bribery scheme suggests the New Jersey Democrat had been swindled by one of his co-defendants. Menendez is accused of acting as a foreign agent for Egypt, among other things.
Oh, okay.
The United States bought more goods from Mexico than China in 2023 for the first time in 20 years. The new data out this week shows Mexico outpaced China to become America's top source of imports. Economists say the decrease in trade with China is linked to the taxes imposed by the Trump administration and maintained by President Biden. Trader Joe's is recalling 4 products with a potential for listeria contamination. They were all
Trader Joe's, get it together. I feel like they're always in the news for stuff like this.
They were all made with cotija cheese. The products are chicken enchiladas verde, cilantro salad dressing, elote chopped salad kit, and the Southwest salad. So it's this particular type of cotija
salad
cheese.
Is good though.
Yeah. Don't want to eat that cheese. No.
Don't eat that cheese. No.
I know we're talking all about Super Bowl 49ers all the time, but the NBA trade deadline is approaching very quickly. Teams have until 3 p.m. Eastern to make moves before trades are no longer permitted during the season. So today is the day. Last season saw almost 50 players traded on deadline day, including superstar Kevin Durant. So we'll see what happens today if the same type of moves are being made. It is Stone Pony Day in New Jersey.
What the hell is that?
It's a
Stone Pony?
It's officially kicking off a year-long series of events celebrating the storied venue of the Stone Pony. The Jersey Shore's Stone Pony served as a launch pad for Bruce Springsteen, who started, and the E Street Band, Jean Bon Jovi, Southside Johnny, and Asbury Jukes. It is celebrating 50 years with a variety of tributes. So they have an official proclamation from state lawmakers happening today. And then on February 10th, there's another big gathering at the Bruce Springsteen Archives and Center for American Music.
Nice.
So, and I will tell you, there was no big winner for Tuesday's Mega Millions drawing. So the grand prize up for grabs is now $394 million.
Is it ready to pop, Kim? Is
No.
it ready to pop?
No.
Kim says no popping.
It's just over, that's my professional opinion. That's just over 188 million for the cash option. The odds of winning the jackpot, about 1 in 302 million. So,
That's not too bad.
it isn't too bad. It's okay. I
love Kim decides whether or not it's ready to pop. It's ready. We have to just wait on Kim to decide whether it is, and then we can go
But
buy
if
it.
I get it wrong and then you didn't play because I told you it
know.
wasn't ready to
I
pop,
wouldn't
then
know
I'll
any
feel really
difference.
bad.
I wouldn't know
But
any
your odds were 1 in 302 million anyway, so I just saved you money. How about that?
There you go. I saved a couple bucks in my pocket. That's awesome.
This report is sponsored by you, which means that it's read to point. That means that we rely on you to help us crowdfund this Nikki Medoro show. Please find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. The Patreon and PayPal links are there. The super chat and super stickers are open and ready to roll here on The Nikki Medoro Show. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is The Nikki Medoro Show.
And thank you to Scott. He says he missed the raffle. Raffaele. Sorry, Scott. Yeah, I had to end it. I'm going to draw the names in about a half hour. There was the cooler, the 49ers cooler, and of course, there was the vintage wine glasses. And so we made it quick. I wanted to kind of get it done before the Super Bowl. And again, thank you to Kay in Santa Rosa and Candace in Sebastopol for donating these items to be auctioned off. But we'll do more of these. It's fun. Trying to find different ways to give you guys something while we also crowdfund the show. So that's what we're trying to do. So thank you. Okay, so let's get into this kid, this Kansas City Chiefs fan. So you guys will likely remember this picture. It went viral. This kid is a fan. He shows up at a game, and people are taking pictures of him. He's getting love, and he's getting kind of a little bit of hate, right? So basically, this 9-year-old kid was accused by a Deadspin reporter of wearing blackface, in addition to getting some sort of cultural appropriation or whatever. I'm going to play you a little bit of a video. This is the kid and his dad. And I want to play it for you because when you hear his voice, does it kind of change how you feel about it? So at first blush, I was like, why do a lawsuit? You're just bringing even more attention. Maybe people had forgotten. Maybe they hadn't even heard about it, right? You're bringing it back to the forefront. You're putting that image just like I did right in front of other people. But then you have to hear this kid. Now, again, this kid is 9 years old. His name is Holden Armenta. Here we go.
It's okay because a lot of kids at school are getting excited, but it's starting to get me a little nervous because if they go a little bit overboard, it's a little scary.
I bet it's scary. It can be a very overwhelming experience. How has the community been in terms of support?
Okay. So far.
Good. And you're a football guy, right? Don't you have practice in a few minutes?
Yeah, we'll get ready to head out the door for all-star practice.
What position do you play?
Wide receiver and free safety.
It's amazing. And how big of a Chiefs fan are you?
Really big.
So, I mean, a cute kid, right? I wanted to play this just because he's a cute kid. And if it was my kid, I wouldn't want him smeared as racist. But do you think that if you were a parent, that you would put your kid back out there to get even more attention over something that you disagree with? They are accusing the family of Holden. Says the article in Deadspin falsely alleged that Holden had found a way to hate Black people and the Native Americans at the same time. It alleged that his parents taught Holden racism and hate at home. It intentionally painted a picture of the family as anti-Black, anti-Native American bigots who proudly engaged in the worst kind of racist conduct, motivated by their family's hatred for Black and Native Americans. Apparently, the lawsuit was filed after weeks of legal threats by the Armentas, and they demand that the sports news site Deadspin and its senior writer, Karen Phillips, issue a retraction for his story headlined, "The NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface native headdress." I do think there should have been a little bit of pause by the reporter, understanding that this kid is 9 years old. On the other hand, the picture did go viral. It was broadcast on CBS Sports. This was back in November. I mean, he was so happy to. I don't think that this kid hates Black people or Native Americans. I think that is the Native American headdress appropriate?
No, but I was reading last night that his mom says he is part Native American.
Right, exactly. So that came out afterwards.
Not that means you should be wearing a headdress at a football game. However, I mean, if anyone's going to, it'd be someone that has Native American ties, what have you.
OCB makes an excellent point, which is also what I thought. It's not blackface. It's the Kansas City colors. Half of his face is Black.
Yeah.
And this is the concern that I have is this is not the fight that we're fighting when we're talking about racial justice, right? Or anything like that. This is not the fight. It's not against a 9-year-old Kansas City Chiefs fan. And I feel like when stuff like this happens, we lose the ability to understand true racism, true hate, true discrimination, true appropriation, right? With a negative or hateful intent. That's my issue with the whole entire thing is when you focus so much on a kid who I will say, and again, I don't know him. I mean, God, I don't know the family. I don't know the conversations they have behind closed doors. But when you're choosing to this is going to be your issue, Karen Phillips, the reporter, and he's an African-American man, right? So, I think he looks at it through whatever specific lens he has from living his life. But when you target this kid, this is the problem. I mean, I'm all for you go in and calling out the hypocrisy with, something like Kaepernick, right? Like we could talk about that. That's an adult making a statement. That's military. That's, all sorts of things, right? Respect, the flag, nationalism versus patriotism, all of those. I'm willing to have that conversation. A 9-year-old wearing the team colors on his face. Yeah, the headdress is problematic, but we can, I'm not trying to push that aside, but okay. This is the fight. This is the fight that we're choosing. I don't like it. But again, I also think the lawsuit, I understand the retraction, but it just puts it right back into the forefront. You're bringing this all back on the kid. This happened in November. I just don't know if this is something that I would do again. Randy says, maybe I'm wrong. Nikki just mentioned that, but maybe it didn't come from the reporter. No, it was an article in Deadspin.
They say at the beginning that they only showed half of his face, and that was the part with the black face. That they didn't show the red face.
Okay, I'm going to show you that image because this might be what you're talking about. Oh, hold on, here we go.
And so that's why, because of the way they showed it, that you couldn't tell at the beginning that he wasn't in an all black face, right? And so then it looked even worse for him.
There you go. So this kid you see the beautiful headdress and you only see blackface. Now, That is really wrong. And Karen Phillips, you see the byline right there. They're doubling up on the racism. Are you going to say anything, Roger Goodell? That is a very inflammatory headline.
Mm-hmm.
It really is against, and the example they're using is a kid, not any sort of adult, nothing like that. I do have a problem with the article. I really, really do. That's not who we're going, we're trying to educate. I don't think that this kid put red and black makeup on his face because he wanted to say something negative about the African American community. At the same time, I just don't know if this lawsuit is going to get the family less hate. I would want to protect my kid. That's the whole thing. I would want to protect my kid.
It's interesting because Lori was writing that that the colors of the Kansas City Chiefs officially, even on the website, are not red and black. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
They're red and gold.
Yeah.
Kind of like the 49ers. So why would you do
Exactly.
black? But you know what?
They have black in their kind of
It doesn't
some of their
look,
stuff. Yeah.
it looks like maybe it was not well thought out, but it doesn't look like, a beacon for racism.
No.
Except for maybe the headdress, which, okay.
The headdress is problematic,
Yeah,
I would
mhm.
say. It is
Yeah, I would say that.
problematic. Let me see. So, according to the lawsuit, pardon me, they're saying during the CBS broadcast, I lost it. The sun was shown for 3 seconds where the audience can clearly see his red and black face paint. Immediately thereafter, CBS panned to a Raiders fan in black and white face paint. Together, they represented fervent fans with their face painted for game day battle. Now, why wasn't the Raider fan called out for the black and white face?
Right.
Right? There are Raider fans that completely paint their whole entire face black, and they wear the silver and they do all of that. Why target this kid? Sandy says, if it's offensive to wear a headdress to support a team called the Chiefs, then maybe the team should consider changing their name. Yes, exactly. Scott, thank you for the $5 donation. To be clear, I was mocking my spelling, not for your raffle. Oh, no. I got that. I got it. Thank you, Scott, so much for the $5 donation and for all the support. I appreciate it. Sounds like the outrage machine is running at full steam. Yeah, John, it does. Again, and Phineas, the body too, Nikki, not just the face. Like they go with the Raiders, they go all black, right?
But
it's
crazy. The difference is the Raiders' colors are black. Like a big part of their
Black and
uniform
silver.
is black.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, when you see a Raiders fan that's all Raidersed out, you don't look at that and immediately go, "Oh, blackface racism." You go, "Oh, Raiders fan."
Well, why would you go blackface racism to a red and blackface? I mean, red and black is not blackface.
I don't know if I would have.
Yeah.
I would have looked at
headdress.
the headdress would have stood out to me.
Exactly.
But the face paint, not so much. But here's the thing. We talked about this story when it came out. When was the article released?
November.
It was months and months ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
And so for most people, I think we kind of forgot about it and moved on.
Thank
Just
you.
bringing up this lawsuit. I mean, maybe what they're saying is, we want money from this. You exposed our child and he still can't get over it and we still have bad feelings over it.
Yeah.
But I think the attention really died down.
Yeah.
And if you did something, maybe that was in poor taste, maybe then we just take a look at that and think, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And maybe next time we'll go lighter on the makeup, or we'll go, you know what I mean?
All red or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or don't do any face paint whatsoever because it can be problematic. Now,
Right.
Deadspin did apparently quietly amend the story. They removed the image of Holden, included an editor's note saying the publication regrets any suggestion that we were attacking the 9-year-old boy, although, come on. The damage was already done. The family claims Holden has been called the P word, an MFer, and being threatened with death via a wood chipper. A 9-year-old kid. Okay. They say Deadspin's gone too far. Holden
I don't
should
know
not
what the P word is.
Your kitty cat.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Holden, the family says Holden should not have to live with his face being plastered on social media alongside false and defamatory accusations of racist conduct. His parents should not be forced to live with the false and defamatory allegation that they're teaching hate at home. They want to set the record straight and hold Deadspin accountable for willfully spreading incendiary lies about a 9-year-old child who it chose as a vehicle for its race baiting agenda. They are seeking unspecified damages. Yeah.
That article, that headline was a little race baity.
Well,
Randy
yes.
wants to know why the headdress is problematic. It's the Kansas City Chiefs after all. So why would that be a problem?
I think that there's people. You don't. Again, because apparently he's part Native American. You're just not
Right.
supposed to wear it if you're not.
Yeah,
you're not
if you-
Native American, right?
It's something that is used in Native American ceremonies.
All
It's
right.
an important symbol to them. And it's not necessarily something that you just slap on at a Chiefs game and roll around with. You could make the argument that, well, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, as Randy just did.
Yeah.
But that's problematic as well for some people. So I don't know. I mean, that is what it is. But then throwing the headdress on top of that, when you know that it's a symbol, it's like I don't know, taking a symbol that's sacred to a religion. Right?
And bastardizing it. I mean,
A
although I don't think he
cross
meant
or a Star of David
Yeah, I
and
don't
using
think he
it like
meant
in a weird
offense,
way.
though.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he meant offense, right? And
Yeah.
and I think
Right.
the point that they're the Kansas City Chiefs does give a little bit of cover, right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's the team. Da 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 da. I get that. John makes a good point. Reporters need to learn to not pick on kids. Remember the MAGA kids and the Native American? They called that kid racist, and there was no indication he was, and it cost CNN millions. Exactly. And this is an interesting take, and I don't think it's the same thing. Portions Redacted said, how many little girls insist on wearing princess dresses and tiaras to school? This little boy just wanted to wear a fun headdress to a game. Come on. The difference between like a tiara and a Native American headdress is Native Americans were slaughtered, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
a negative history with that. I don't know how many princesses. Again, I'm sure obviously you can maybe go back and see those sort of things. It doesn't bring the same thing, I think, to mind. But I get what you're saying. He's dressing up. I would never have targeted the kid. Honestly, I would have, if I saw that picture, the only thing I would have been like, someone's gonna be pissed about the headdress. Absolutely. Never would have noticed the face. Never, 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 never.
Kim C says, does anyone even ask the Native Americans to see if they're offended by a headdress? It's not racism to wear the garb of the team.
You know, that's an excellent question. A lot of people have had this conversation regarding cultural appropriatism by saying it seems like people that are not part of the culture are the ones that get offended, and the people that
Right.
actually it is their culture, they could give two shits, right? They're like,
Right.
yeah, whatever. I don't care. It's not the top of mind. But other people feel they need to speak for these marginalized groups and maybe creating more hubbub than need be, which is an interesting take. I mean, there's no way of knowing. I'm sure you could find someone that's not offended and then find somebody
Yeah.
that is offended. So it's not really something easy to prove.
So you have to go with, what you've heard people be offended by, right?
Right.
So I have seen, I don't know if you have seen this,
Mm.
that if you wear used to be like you could dress up as an Indian for Halloween, no
Indian, yes.
problem, right?
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
No.
Native Americans say, we don't really want you dressing up as a Native American for Halloween. We're not a costume, right?
Right.
And
My culture is not a costume is kind of the way of thinking about it.
Right.
Yes.
My thinking is then if they don't want me to dress up like that for Halloween, then they probably don't want me to dress up like that for a football game. I'm just thinking that,
Yeah.
and if you're trying not to offend a whole culture, then perhaps the headdress is a poor choice. I'm just, throwing that out there.
Then again, going back to the name of the team, the Kansas City Chiefs, and they still do that. I know that
Tomahawk, whatever.
the tomahawk, and they kind of like all sing and everything like that. So, I mean, if we're going to point out things that people
Yeah.
should be quote unquote offended by, and some people don't care. Some
Right.
people are like, there's enough problems in this world that I don't need to pick and choose this one. Is anybody really feeling that bad about it?
Right.
And there's no way of knowing. I mean, I am positive you will find Native Americans who are completely offended by people who dress up as Native Americans for Halloween or wear their headdresses, and those that are like, yeah, no, I don't care. Do whatever you want. Ricky says 9 years old, gotta grow up fast in the age of hate online.
That's very
Exactly,
true.
exactly, exactly. All right. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with the lawsuit. I think Deadspin definitely should be a little more vocal and deliberate with their apology to this kid, especially given the fact that he's gotten so much hate online. And again, whoever said it before, stop targeting children. If somebody does something like, if it's that big of a problem, you should be able to find an adult that does it. Don't target kids. Because if it was my kid and they were being called all kinds of names and being threatened with death online, I'd be pissed too. I would be the mama bear would come out, and hell yeah, I'd be suing. The Mario says this little kid just wanted to support his team, and people are making a big deal out of nothing. Yeah. It could have gone away though. I just don't know if this lawsuit's going to do what this family wanted it to do, but we'll see what happens.
Luis makes a point that the Chiefs' alternate uniform is black.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we have we have a white one. We
Mm-hmm.
also have a black uniform that we haven't worn in a long time. So yeah, I know that black is incorporated into some of these, and Gordon. We totally played live the U.S. Supreme Court at the beginning of the show. If you want to go back to the very beginning, we did a big segment on it. We actually were streaming it live. So we did talk about it, and we're going to follow it. They've recessed. We took it all the way to the end. So we did definitely talk about it. Phineas says, again, it was the parents that did this. The kid was doing what his parents told him or did to him. I mean, I guess you can make that case a little bit, but who knows? Maybe the kid wanted. He's like, I want to paint my face. The kid could have asked, but he's also 9 years old. Who cares?
Steven says that people walk around all day long looking for an occasion or an excuse to be offended, and that's all this is.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Here's an interesting thing, kind of staying on the sports tip. So did you see that the A's are going to be offering buy one, get one tickets for opening day? But fans are planning a boycott. So according to The Athletic, fan groups, the Oakland 68 and the Last Dive Bar are joining forces to obviously show their disapproval with John Fisher selling or bringing the team to Vegas, I should say. Mm-hmm. They've obviously had many protests. Fans are planning to tailgate outside of the game opening day without ever going inside. I wouldn't go. How many A's fans? Do we have any A's fans? Yeah, Randy, don't go to opening day.
You want to give money to a team who just doesn't really care about you?
No.
Because what they're saying is, we don't care about you, A's fans. We don't care about you, Oakland.
Yep.
We're out.
We're out. John says the way the A's play, they ought to be paying fans to show up to the games. Again, it's because John Fisher did not invest in the team, let a lot of good players go. You can obviously still have a team and play a game, but who wants to watch their team lose over and over and over again? I think this is genius. Can you imagine opening day? And they're going to cover all the games. If the outside of the stadium is more crowded than the inside of the stadium is, I mean, that would just, but I don't know what the point is. John Fisher is not in any way, shape, or form going to keep the team in Oakland unless it wasn't approved by the owners, which it was. They're going to do that. They're going to take the team. Luis, great attendance will be the same as always. 500 tops. Awesome protest if a tree falls in the forest. Well, I will say this. If they advertise it enough and enough people go tailgate, it could be a news story. It could be humiliating for John Fisher to see an empty stadium and a
full parking lot.
Yeah. That is huge. Yeah. And I think it's kind of genius. So I feel like the A's got screwed, but more so the fans. They really did. I feel for you guys, especially on a big sports weekend where people are just so committed to their teams with football. And we've seen the passion that A's fans have for their team. And John Fisher just did not respect it at all. It's really, really sad. But Blue Spark says, yeah, A's, don't let the thieves smash your windows on the way out. I mean, Oakland, again, we cover all of the headlines with Oakland, but it's just another bad headline. Did you see that video? I'm going to show it real quickly. I don't know if it's going to be in your news later on, Kim, but this video of that kid, I mean, he looks young, teenager, maybe young 20s, taking all of those freaking phones from the Apple store. I mean, and then walks right past a cop car. Here we go. Look at this guy. Now, it's chaotic. His phone. You're pretty much bricked the moment he leaves. Someone was saying, because there's stuff on the phones, obviously, if you steal them, they're not going to work.
Wow, it's a lot easier to rip that cord out than I thought it was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he looks like he's done this before, right?
And look at the people just standing there.
What would you do?
I mean, you'd have to. I mean, I guess you're not stopping them. I don't know.
I mean, but somebody was saying it's not that they're going to work, but that somebody's going to get conned into buying one thinking it's going to work. And that's where, look, walks right. Now the car was
Oh my
empty.
God.
This is at Emeryville. The car was empty. It was supposed to be like a deterrent, like a scarecrow. You need cops, not scarecrows. Okay. Like, it's so upsetting that they're like, yeah, there was nobody in Henry K. Lee, who showed that video on X. He was saying it wasn't as if there was a cop in the car that just let the guy walk out. But again, the fact that they park a car in front of an Apple store thinking that's going to be a deterrent, and the guy still walked in, still stole all of those phones, and then just left.
Yeah. Basically brushed right past the police car as he on his way out.
Yeah, Jim says you cannot do anything without being arrested for assault. I don't know. I feel like the tide is changing, maybe. Walked right past the cop car. Yeah, there was no cop in it. I just want to say there was no. Where are the cops at this Apple store? Yeah, at Oak Ridge in San Jose, there are security guards right in front. Now, I don't know what they're allowed to do, but again, it's a mentality problem. That kid felt no hesitation to walk into that Apple store, the cop car parked. He doesn't know if there's a cop inside. He's just like, screw it, I'm going. Does all of that, walks right out, walks into a car, barely running, barely jogging, and does all of that stuff. It's insane. It's insane. Stores are going to install a double door entrance where they can lock the doors and trap you in between. But then they trap everybody else. And who knows if the guy's armed, right? So I was thinking the same thing. Like, let's just lock the doors. But then all of a sudden, if I'm a customer, I'm like, get me the hell out of here, please. False imprisonment. You can see the lawsuits just lining up. So Eric says, sorry, when I worked in retail, I wasn't paid enough to do anything more than watch.
And that's true. I mean, how much do you get paid to work at the Apple store?
Exactly. I'm not gonna, but maybe they should invest a little bit, right? Let's invest a little bit so that they don't get not only these phones stolen, which again, even if they are bricked, it's still loss, right? I mean, it's still money that you have to replace. They're going to have to put new phones on them. But again, the mentality once again of people being able to walk into whatever store they want to and steal whatever they want to. It's ridiculous. No.
Heather says, when I worked retail, we were told not to intervene for our own safety. And that's true.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's just frustrating to watch him rip all those cords out like that in a record time and then walk out with all that stuff. And
yeah, exactly. So again, another bad headline for Oakland. Mayor Sheng Tao, the police commission is going to give her another 3 names for police chief. This as Oakland is facing another lawsuit. Remember,
LeRon Armstrong is suing.
Yes, he's suing. He's suing for false firing. They already paid out somebody, Kirkpatrick. Remember, not too long ago, the city had to pay out for her firing. Now this is going to cost the city of Oakland money. Sheng Tao, I'm sorry, you failed. I mean, I know that she's not responsible for everything, but you suck at this. Like, you need to show more strength. The state has to step in. You got the oversight of your police department. It's just, she's over her head. She's just in over her head, and she's not making the right decisions. She should have put LeRon Armstrong, in my opinion, back in that position so that they could go to focusing on the problems of the city. But instead, she dug her heels in for the reason of being able to work with the federal monitor or whatever. No, your city's going to hell in a handbasket. They need a police chief. You made the wrong choice. Absolutely the wrong choice. But we'll keep an eye on that. I hate bagging on Oakland because it's way too easy, unfortunately. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Our phones, we were talking about all those people stealing phones, but let's talk about all the great fun things our phones can do because it is Thursday. And on Thursday, we talk phone technology with the one and only Jefferson Graham. Thank you so much, Jefferson Graham of Photo Walks TV. Thank you so much. Quick question. I don't know if you saw the video of that guy stealing all those iPhones. Am I correct that those things can be bricked instantly? I don't know if you know that, but.
Yeah, instantly.
Instantly, right? And then when it's bricked, how
not
do you
only
get it
that,
no, go ahead.
Not only that, there's messages that start popping saying you have stolen the iPhone and we know where you are and we are coming to get you.
You know what they should do? They should, when you yank it out at that cord, it should blow paint all over you or something. You know what I mean? Or something to identify you that just leaves a trail of it, like glitter and paint and something where it never goes away and we can find you. But okay. So
now speaking of iPhones, check this out.
Okay.
How do you like that?
What am I
How
looking
do you like
at?
that?
What am I looking at?
Did you see an iPhone show up on the screen instead of my face?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're sharing your screen so we can see what you're
Yes.
doing
That's
on
right.
the phone.
Because week after week, we always say, here's how to do it. Open up your iPhone. Yeah, that's it. That's
Look
it.
at
Oh,
you.
and now you
Thank
can take us through and
Jefferson.
screenshot
Thank
it.
you.
Now
How are
we
you doing
can-
that?
Now we can show and tell.
Yeah. Okay. So how are you doing that, by the way?
Oh, I use a rival. You guys use StreamYard,
Yes.
and I use a streaming service called Ecamm, which lets me do things like check it out. There I am in my little circle.
Look
and
at
there's
you.
my iPhone. There's my little iPhone. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I might have to look into Ecamm. Your all-in-one video tool. Okay, that's pretty cool. Ecamm, that's with 2 M's.
Yeah,
E-C-A-M-M.
it's more expensive than StreamYard though.
Oh.
But it is.
We're like, okay.
It's invaluable for me.
But
Okay,
clearly
perfect.
you can use it with StreamYard, which is interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Zoom and Skype and
all
all
those.
sorts of things. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. All right. Well, let's talk about all the cool things that we're going to learn today. And one of the things you want to teach us, this is tax season.
Yes.
You know, scanning things with our phones. I'm so glad you're going to talk about this because every time I think I can scan something with my phone, I do it once and then I forget how to do it and I can never do it again. So let's walk through scanning.
Okay, well, what most people do is they just open up the camera and they take a picture, and that's fine, except that the crop is usually wacko and it looks terrible. Apple has a Notes app. Let's open it up here.
Okay.
Boom. There's the Notes app, right? And I have to go to the. Okay, so I'm sorry. Now it's all messed up.
Oh no.
No, it's more than oh, there we go. Okay, so you press the new note button, which I did, and then there's the camera icon. Do you see the camera icon? There's 5 icons here. Then you do the camera icon, and it says
scan documents.
Scan documents. Boom. And then I am going to take a document and I'm going to stick it right there.
Okay.
So it actually took the picture without me even doing anything.
Oh wow.
It just took it. And now I actually will have to clean that up because it's too dark. But that's an easy thing to do. Let's go over to photos and hopefully it showed up there. That is not my scanned document.
Let's
Cancel
see.
that one. Yeah, we'll just say yes. Okay, let's go back here. Did it show up at the bottom of the screen? It did not. So, wait, yeah.
Maybe
Maybe it's still kind of downloading a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, it's an easy fix. You just would click on exposure and the magic wand in edit to lighten it up and then send it off to your accountant.
That's
And
cool.
I think this is what everybody's doing now. You know, I shot a party for a guy who has a copy store.
Okay.
And he told me, I said, wow, a copy store, what's that like? He says, nobody uses the copy machines anymore.
Oh,
They
yeah,
just
I
sit
can
there.
imagine.
They just sit there. Now that they may make books and do things, but you remember we used to go in there and make lots and lots of copies. And what do we have to do at Kinko's? It's something weird. You'd put your credit card in the machine before you could actually start copying and things like that.
Gotta pay for it.
So people aren't making copies anymore. They're just doing them on our phones. And that's great. And the nice thing in the maybe I'll try. Let's try it one more time.
Okay.
Let's go back to notes, and we're going to do this. We'll discard that, and go to new one, and we're going to.
Now, what if you take what if you scan something that's not a document? It's like my coffee cup. Will it just scan that and send a picture of my coffee cup somewhere?
Well, there's no reason to do that. Then you would just take a photo of it.
That's true.
Right?
Okay.
Right. Okay. So hello, Nikki and Kim.
Right.
All righty. And then can I do any editing on this? Not really. But if you did a normal document, they would let you adjust within there because it's just a silly little thing that I put your name in. It wasn't normal. But anyway, that's a great app to use. And Google has one called PhotoScan. But anybody who has the iPhone should definitely do it in the notes and save yourself a lot of paper. You know, I've just been doing my taxes and I'll be sending all this stuff to the accountant and I'm just going to scan everything and send them right off to them. And
I know that this is hard, but I got the little boxes around my piece of paper that I did. See the boxes, and that's how you can adjust and crop,
Right.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Okay, perfect.
Exactly. One of the freelance writing gigs I have, they send you this contract, and then you have to print it out, and then you have to sign your name on it, and then you have to scan the paper and then email them, and the whole thing is a joke. But anyway, but they pay money. They pay money, and so
Hey,
that's pretty good.
that's the best thing. Yeah, my daughter had to fill out a paperwork. Her friend had to sign it, then bring it back to us, and so this would have been way easier than having to scan it and do all those sorts of things. So that's a really good tip.
It's right there on our phones.
And again, as far as tax documents, I mean, everything. What do you say to people that are concerned about safety issues of taking photos of things with their social security numbers? I mean, is that just a risk we have to take, or is there any way of protecting, or I don't know?
Well, I think that if I wanted your social security number, I could find it. So I just don't think that's a hard thing to get. But these are photos that are on your phone. You don't necessarily have to put them online if you're concerned.
Right.
But they're, or take the picture and then delete it afterwards.
And then delete it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. You have a new episode of Photo Walks TV coming up on Saturday, and you are going to be talking about the art of slow-mo. I have a video. I'll show it to you guys now. It's pretty cool. I like slow-mo. So let's watch a little bit of this video from Jefferson.
Did you realize that every day you are actually watching slow-mo video? This is a huge part of your entertainment experience. It's not just a silly gimmick that shows up periodically. It's in every TV show and movie you watch, from The Matrix and Wonder Woman to Barbie on the Venice Boardwalk. Now, the great thing about making slow motion videos is that you don't need big, expensive gear. You can shoot awesome cinematic slow motion video on your smartphone. This is one of the great perks of smartphone photography.
Okay, so I'm only going to show a little bit so you can see the rest of it on Jefferson's channel. I love the part in the video, though, Jefferson, where there seemed to be someone that was running in slow-mo. Is that just to kind of tease us? Is that necessary, or can you just move normally and then it'll go into slow-mo?
Well, no, that was slow-mo. She was running.
Oh, it was. I thought she was just acting.
No, she was running regularly. There's two slow-mo speeds on your iPhone. There's 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second. And I wanted to show the difference between the two. So she was demoing. And as far as the lady with the hair, Kim would have been good for Kim would have been really good for this. Oh, boy.
She could do the mermaid flipping of the hair in slow motion,
Yes. I really
one.
wanted that shot, and like, how to, this guy walking up to these women on the street and saying, "Excuse me, could you just do one of these for me?" Well, that's just kind of an awkward thing. And then I happened to walk by my hair salon. And I said, bingo, they know me here. They know me here. And I walked in and I said, would you mind? It just won't take very long. Just go like this. That's all you have to do for me. And she did. And she did a great job. And she had wonderful hair. And
I do like slow-mo. And yeah, when you were pointing it out, all those spots in the movies, and it definitely has its use, which is really fun. John says, remember the $6 million man when he was running really fast? They showed him running in slow motion. Baywatch also. I think
always in slow-mo.
I think they ran in slow motion too. So there's some parts for it. So
I show all the classic shots, how to get them in slow-mo in the latest video, and it's just so easy. Hey, let's turn on the camera. All you got to do is flick all the way to slow-mo. It's it's the second choice there, and that's it. And you don't have to have a tripod, and you don't have to have lighting, and you don't have to have any gear. Just hold the phone in your hand because it's so slow that it doesn't need anything extra.
That's pretty awesome. My kid uses slow-mo sometimes when he'll make funny faces and like go with his mouth. And if you do that in slow-mo, hilarious. It's absolutely, he can't get over it. So there you go.
That one I do 30 frames a second where I take a zillion shots of the kid to get, knowing that if they make all these faces at the end, they will smile. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I'm sure there's a bunch of tips and tricks as a photographer to get kids to smile. My son he's in the stage of life where he just wants to make silly faces no matter what picture he is in. So I can't get a serious smile out of that kid to save my life. But
go on burst mode.
Okay.
hold your finger down on the shutter and take 30 frames. And at the end of it, you say, give me like 60 different expressions in 30 seconds. At the end of it, he'll be smiling.
I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. That's Jefferson Graham. So again, the slow-mo video is happening on Saturday. That's when you're going to do it. And if you have any questions, reach out to Jefferson Graham. You can find him right here on YouTube, Photo Walks TV, and find him obviously here on Thursdays. Jefferson, thanks so much. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, my son is just, he's in this like, he likes to make this face all the time in all of his pictures where he's very serious, and I don't know. I have a million of them and I can't get a good picture if it saved my life. So that sucks. You're muted. You're muted, my friend.
Hello.
There you
Julia's taking this broadcast journalism class in high school.
Ah, yes.
And she has to go through, they have to make a video using certain shots.
Right.
As part of their grade. Okay, well, this week we're working on, do a commercial on all the AP classes. They'll assign you an AP or an honors class to make a commercials because they have to register for all the classes for next year.
Right.
So make a commercial for a class.
That's cool.
And then use this particular type of shot in the video.
Ooh.
Right, as part of your video. So, or use these 3 different types of shots and combine them. So yeah, it's interesting to see that. And slow-mo is one of the ones that they have used. So
Perfect.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so my son's going to be running for student council. He's going to 8th grade yet. And so they had to come home with the packet. And you need to get signatures and do all of these things. And then it laundry lists what you have to do to run for student council. And one of the things is he has to create a 30-second ad that is placed on their student TV channel that runs the announcements.
That's so fun.
Yeah. So my daughter's really geeking out on it. She's like, I'm going to help you with that. And it'll be
cute.
fun. Yeah, I'm excited. So
I love to see them working together on that. That's awesome.
Yes. It's those special moments where the siblings get along. All parents understand that. Okay, let's do... Hold on. Heather says, I'm making a normal face and probably 10% of those. Though, I swear to God, if I go through my phone, I need to clean up so many. My son is into making this really sucked in cheek face. Mm-hmm. And then he's really into taking, if I have 100, I have 1,000 pictures of his feet. Now, this isn't to do anything kinky with it. He can spread his toes really wide and he thinks it's hilarious. And so he takes 1,000,000 pictures of his toes spread way out. So that's my phone. It's filled up with all of that. So there you go. Okay, let's do the raffle. Let's do the raffle before we do Kim's news. Okay, so again, let me show the pictures of what we're winning. These are all the names. I did it again in a bowl. Let's show the picture of the raffle. So I'm going to do the cooler. What do you want first, cooler or the wine glasses?
Let's do the cooler. Let's do the cooler
first. Okay, so this is for the cooler. Go Niners. Thank you to everybody that donated. We'll do more of these.
Should we take the picture down so we can see what you're doing back there? Make sure it's all on the up and up.
It's all on the up and up.
Okay.
All on the up and up.
Not that you would cheat, but
I would never cheat.
We want to see the process.
What do I have to cheat for? I'm not in it. Okay. All right, ready? Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Let's see who wins. Dun, 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 dun. It is Janet Rosier. Rosier. There you go. Now, Janet, because I filled out all of these by myself. I know she's also in for the wine glasses. So let's see if she wins.
We'll see what happens.
She bought a lot of tickets. So Janet, Kay in Santa Rosa donated the cooler. We're gonna have to figure out how to get that to you. Maybe I don't know where Janet lives. I don't. Kay lives in Santa Rosa, so we'll have to figure that out.
She sometimes comes to Petaluma.
Ooh, okay.
But she might be an East Bay girl. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out. So, Janet Rosier, you have won the 49er cooler. Now, let's do the wine glass. Now, again, Janet's in this one, too. And I will say that fewer people did the wine. Most of you guys did the cooler. I will say that. Yeah. So, there's a really good chance that Janet, you won twice. But let's see. Okay, ready? All right, let's go. Ready? Well, might be a bit difficult. Well, thank God it's the wine glasses. Tony in San Antonio won. Our friend from Texas won. So Tony, you won the wine glasses.
I will ship those to San Antonio, Texas.
That is so fun. And I think that Tony listened to KGO a lot, didn't he? I think that he's a KGO person.
Absolutely.
So that's really fun. Just show it off to all your Texas fans. So Janet, congratulations. Tony in San Antonio, congratulations.
I'll wrap them up really, really good, and with the bubble wrap and really secure, and we'll send them off to you. Yeah.
I have so many different ideas for things that we can do after hours. I know that you guys loved the wine at 9. I'm trying to work out.
Still recovering from wine at 9.
I'm thinking of maybe an after hours thing where drinking is more appropriate, and maybe having a limited number of seats to something like maybe a trivia. Like we could do a half hour to an hour of trivia, drink. You guys can ask us questions and things like that. So I have some things mulling around in my head. Another reminder, we have the February survey up. The link to the survey, if you didn't receive it in your email, is in the show notes. And this one's all about self-improvement. Like I have a couple of interviews coming up. I've shared with you guys that this year is all about, being healthier, eating better. No set hard and fast rules like I want to lose 20 pounds or anything like that. It's just to feel better. And so it's a survey of how, yay, Tony won. Congratulations, Tony. That is so funny. And Janet, yay, Janet won too.
Yay.
I'm coming up to Petaluma sometime soon. I'll let you know when. Of course, Kay is in your neck of the woods as well. So maybe we can all work it out that way. But congratulations. But anyways, back to the survey. It's all about self-improvement. I want to hear what you guys are interested in. And another thing mulling around in my head about how we can interact outside of this show as well. Thank you, Doug, so much for the $5 super sticker. Scott, missed the raffle. $10 donation, though. Thank you.
Nice.
And
you
another
guys.
$5 donation as well. We'll do more of these raffles and giveaways and things like that as well, because it's really, really fun. And congratulations to Janet and Tony. I love it. Okay.
Love it. That's awesome.
Let's do some headlines. And then when we come back, I want to talk about getting okay. Well, we might have time for both. I want to talk about what happened in Canada, and that shouldn't take too long, with this volleyball team and these transgender athletes. And I have a specific question of what is I don't want to say number, because I feel like then we're like talking about the border. But how do we know when we have enough transgender athletes that it's appropriate to create its own league? Or does even the thought of creating another league become this whole separate but equal type of thing? So we'll talk about that. And then I want to get into, before the end of the show, ex-Star Wars actor Gina Carano. She was fired for all these posts she made on X. Well, now she's suing LucasFilms, and she's getting some help from Elon Musk. So we'll talk about both of those things coming up. But first, let's take a look at some headlines. And of course, here's Kim. Oh, there we go.
Up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
A Supreme Court case, as we've been talking about much this morning, has wrapped up that could determine whether or not Donald Trump can still run for president. The former president is appealing the Colorado Supreme Court's decision, the state Supreme Court, that his actions during the U.S. Capitol riot amounted to an insurrection and violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. After the hearing, most legal experts said they expected the court to overturn Colorado's ruling, which means other states would be barred from trying to do the same thing on their ballots. If they don't do that, and if they say Colorado is within its legal rights, then are we going to see a rash of states taking Trump off the ballot? It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
I don't know how quickly they're going to come with a ruling. We have no idea about that, right?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The former President Trump is saying that the court cases against him just have to stop.
I'm sure stop counting the ballots and stop suing me. Yes. Okay.
Is this a case of he's being targeted by, lawsuit after lawsuit, or is this a case of finally all the illegal crap you've done is catching up with you? I don't know. Yeah. Speaking after the Supreme Court finished his Colorado ballot case, Trump said he thought his lawyers made a very good case and he thought it was well received. He added the world is laughing at the United States right now.
They're laughing at you, Trump. Stop it already. I mean, honestly, you can be a Trump supporter all you want, but I don't think that anyone around the world is clamoring, maybe Putin, for another Trump presidency. So he was a joke when he was a president. How many times did he show up places? He was rude. People didn't want to talk to him. He is not a likable person unless you're total MAGA, in my opinion.
Yeah. I saw one video of a lady who said, and you've seen this type of things before, who said he's Jesus, come back.
Oh, God. Drink the Kool-Aid, lady. Drink the Kool-Aid.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is telling Republicans to figure themselves out. The New York Democrat bringing up an Israel and Ukraine aid package without any border security provisions. Senate Republicans blocked a foreign aid package yesterday that included border security provisions because they claimed it wouldn't do enough to crack down on illegal immigration. There is no relief from the weather in California after days of record rainfall that caused hundreds of mudslides, and another storm now is triggering flood watches in Southern California and winter weather advisories in the mountains. Another half-inch of rain could fall south of Los Angeles, while the mountains might see 5 to 9 inches of snow. Turns out, 4 men taken into custody by ICE agents were not involved in last month's Times Square attack on 2 NYPD officers.
Oh.
Manhattan prosecutors are now looking for 2 additional suspects wanted in connection with this assault on January 27th outside of a migrant shelter. 6 suspects have been charged. Only 1 is now in custody at this time.
Interesting.
Taken into custody the wrong kind of people. Speaking of the storms, cleanup is underway from this possible tornado on California's central coast. It swept through San Luis Obispo County yesterday near the cities of Pismo Beach and Grover Beach. Photos on social media show trees ripped from the ground and flattened, asphalt torn up, streets littered with debris. A team from the National Weather Service will survey the damage today to see if it was indeed a twister or just severely straight-line winds that tore everything up.
Interesting.
Man. Record amount of bets are expected to be placed on the Super Bowl this Sunday. The American Gaming Association survey shows a record 68 million Americans are anticipated to put money on the big game.
Yeah, buddy.
I wouldn't even know how you would do such a thing.
Well, Chip said you can call Vegas, I guess.
Vegas? This is Chip. I'd like to put some money on.
Well, there's people that'll take your bets, apparently. I don't know.
The number of Americans placing bets on the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers game is up 35% from last year's Super Bowl. So more people are betting. Is that because maybe the teams are from bigger metro areas, so there's more people participating? I don't know.
I also think Vegas has something to do with it as well. I mean, you think Vegas, but here's some of the prop bets, right? And these are traditional ones. So what color Gatorade is going to be tossed on the coach that wins, right?
Okay.
The coin toss, which if I was going to put a prop bet, that's the one I would choose. I mean, 50-50 shot, right? Will the game go into overtime? Let's see. That's actually, the edge is to yes, that it will go into overtime. I don't know about that. The coin toss is obviously 50-50. And let's see, yellow or lime or green are the colors of the bet. I mean, what if it's red or something like that? I don't know. Maybe they have to only choose certain colors. But yeah, there's some fun ones. Is Travis Kelce going to propose to Taylor Swift?
It's too soon. Don't you think it's too soon?
No way is he going to do that. No way. But yeah, there's some crazy one. How often she's seen on camera.
If she even shows up.
Usher on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many Taylor Swift prop bets. It's ridiculous.
I mean, do you think she's even going to come?
No, I don't think she's going to come.
No.
I don't.
I mean, she's on the other side of the world and she needs to focus on her career too.
Exactly. I think she can. I don't think she will. I don't. Linda, thank you, by the way, for the $10 donation. As promised Monday, here's my contribution.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
This is a good story because, you see all this rain come down and you think, what a waste that no one's doing anything to capture it, because there will be drought years again. And then we'll remember back to all these storms and think, what should we have done? Right. Well, Los Angeles County captured enough rainwater from this week's storm to serve about 66,000 residents for a year.
Wow.
Better than nothing. Los Angeles County Public Works captured 2.7 billion gallons of stormwater. It is a fraction of the historic rain that fell, but an expert on the water infrastructure says that when areas of Los Angeles receive 75% of their annual rainfall totals in just 2 days, there's only so much that water agencies can actually do to keep up.
I mean,
So-
I wish that there, and I know that this isn't probably feasible, but everybody should be capturing water. Everybody in your backyard, you should have something that captures personal water, for lawns and things like that. I'm not saying drinking water, but why do we not all have barrels in our backyard or something? I don't know, but obviously it's not the most efficient or anything like that, but it helps instead of letting it all just go out in the ocean. That's for sure.
There is another thing happening in Southern California. It is the long-awaited Kobe Bryant statue that will be unveiled today outside of LA's Crypto.com arena. That happens this afternoon. The Lakers picked today because of the numerical significance of the date. It is 2/8/24, and Bryant wore the numbers 8 and 24 during his career with the Lakers after his daughter Gianna wore the number 2 during her time playing basketball. So the date is significant. The numbers are significant. Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, 7 other people all killed in a helicopter crash in January of 2020. Following the ceremony this afternoon, the Lakers will wear their special Mamba jerseys in honor of Kobe when they host the Denver Nuggets this evening.
Yeah. Wow.
Gone but not forgotten.
Absolutely not.
And what a lovely thing to have the statue outside of the arena like that.
That's nice.
This report is sponsored by you. I feel like you've
It
sponsored
is.
us big time today.
Thank
you so
you.
much, especially for participating in that raffle. That was really fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. Patreon, PayPal links are noted there. And of course, the super chats and super stickers are open here on YouTube. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you. And some people are making really good John writes in because people are taking these prop bets for the Super Bowl. I guess the economy's doing well. People have money to burn. People always have money to burn. I mean, this whole inflation is real. Grocery prices are high, but people are still spending that money. They're buying lotto tickets. They're doing all those sorts of things. And I saw a bunch of people saying, I have a bet that Taylor Swift, Clark Griswold on Twitch is saying, I bet she will be there. He's betting she will. I don't think she'll be at the game. Maybe she'll be at the after party. Someone was saying that as well. I could be wrong. I'm not betting on it. It's a really fast trip. She knows the type of attention she's going to bring to it. I hope that her boyfriend loses, so he might not be in the best mood. You know what I mean? So I don't know. She's been to all the other big games, but she's back to work now. She's back to work. So maybe she just has to focus on herself and do that. She's literally on the other side of the world, as Kim said.
She came to a lot of games.
Exactly.
Right?
Does she have to go to the Super Bowl?
I don't think so. But maybe it was, how many chances do you have to see your boyfriend play in the Super Bowl? That's kind of a big deal too.
It is. I mean, it is a big deal. We'll see. We'll see on Sunday. Okay, so this is pretty bad. And when I say bad, I mean the reporting on this was pretty hateful. There is this Canadian news website called Rebel News. And you could tell from the reporters and the reputation of the reporters that they're very in your face. I'm equating them to something like OWN or Newsmax, kind of trying to get the clicks or whatever. I'm going to show you this video. Now, I'm just going to preface this warning. They really don't like. They're at a volleyball game, a girls volleyball game, where transgender athletes are also playing on the team. Okay, and this is the video. And this is the language the reporter is using.
Why are you allowing men to play with biological females? Sir, why are you taking away a spot from a real woman? Hey, excuse me. Don't touch me, sir. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. What's wrong with you? Why are men playing with women? We saw it with our own eyes, and now they're changing this. Hey, coach, why are you playing male players? Why are you playing male players? I'm not.
So that's the reporter, as you can see right there. He is just going up. He's saying women are losing their spots. They're losing their scholarships, what have you. And while I disagree with, throwing yourself onto the court and doing all those sorts of things, I want to focus on the idea of, is it time? Or are we getting near the time? Maybe it's not now, but is soon. And should we be aspiring to have a separate league for transgender athletes in all sports? And what would that look like? And what would that be? What number what kind of parameters would need to be set in order for us to think it's okay to create a transgender athlete league? Or is it wrong to even want that? Now, in this particular case, there were 5 different transgender athletes that were competing. And some people are saying that's too much. Like they're kicking butt, and for whatever reasons, although if it was a cisgender female athlete, nobody would be saying anything about it, right? Jennifer says no separate league. Okay, Jennifer, explain to me why. If we know that puberty, okay, and I'm making big assumptions here that puberty has begun before they went through transition, or they haven't done any sort of hormone therapy or anything like that. Does it create an even playing field? And also, we have different categories for sports all the time. Is there something wrong with creating a separate transgender athlete league or, whatever, so that they can focus on playing the game and stop having ass hat reporters like this screaming and yelling during the game and being a distraction?
Anonymous writes, males and female volleyball is super unfair. The girls work hard all year and don't deserve losing a slot to a championship due to losing to men. Sorry, not sorry.
I do think that we should be mindful, okay, that of using the right descriptions for people. These are transgender female athletes, okay? I do believe that transgender people exist, okay? And you can look throughout history, okay? This is not new, okay? Obviously, the issue has been brought to the forefront. I think it's hurtful to say that these are men, okay? Because obviously, they don't consider themselves men. Mm-hmm. But when we're talking about athletics, when we're talking about competition, is it wrong to desire a separate league? Eric says, Randy, there are so few trans athletes on a professional level that it's a non-issue. Remember that swimmer got trans people kicked out of chess. I love that you brought up this number, so few transgender athletes. I'm wondering if it's that few anymore, right? Like, I feel like as more accepting in certain circles people become to being out and being your true self, that there might be more transgender athletes than we think, right? And so if there are, and that's a big if, then why not have separate teams and leagues? And I'll also say this, if there's not enough solely transgender athletes, why not let cisgendered athletes choose if they want to also be on the team with transgender athletes? Or is that problematic?
So when my niece went to the National Rowing Championships in Florida, they had this category called open.
Okay.
And it didn't matter anybody, straight girl, straight boy, whatever you consider yourself, right? You could go and, put a team together and be in a boat. Right? So what's wrong with something like that? Just an open category, whoever you have formed a team with, this is who's on your team.
I mean, I don't have any problem with it.
You could have women on there. You could have men on there. You could have trans people on there. You could have whoever goes onto this team. I mean, do they have to be evenly matched? I don't know. Or it could just be an open category, whatever team's the best.
And I would say, I would believe that there are enough supporters of the transgender community that also play sports. And there, as we always talk about, there are so many athletes that play more than one sport or more than one league of the same sport that it's like, okay, I'm going to do this traditional cisgendered league, pardon me, with my school or whatever, my league. And I'm also going to join this, transgender league, open league, let's call it, because I want them to be able to play and to compete. And I like to play the sport too. So I'm going to do both. Why can't we be more inclusive in that way? But my hesitation, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up is, am I going down the wrong road? Am I going down a road in which we are separating people and they're not able to either compete or get the scholarships or get the, accolades that they, if they don't go the traditional cisgendered route? That's my question. As someone that's not in professional sports, I wonder if the opportunities are still going to be there if we create a separate league. But if you just want to play volleyball, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if your only goal is like, I want to play high school volleyball or college volleyball. I also want to go into law or do something else with my life, but I want to play the sport. Why not let them
Mm-hmm.
do that? Not everybody's going to go into professional sports, even if they play college ball.
I think it's probably a rare case, but what if you were, say, a girl, a high school girl, a senior, who would have been eligible for all these scholarships and to go into a college volleyball situation,
Right.
but because you're transgender and wanted to transition to become a man,
Right.
you had to wait to do that
Mm-hmm.
in order till your volleyball career, in college was
Right.
over.
Right.
And so then you have to put your whole life on hold for the sport. I'm sure that doesn't happen very often, but it would be nice to be able to give people a way to still get their scholarships and still compete and play in some
Right.
type of open league and not have to switch their whole lives around because of it.
Yeah. Eric makes a good point. Nikki, remember, separate but equal is never equal. True. True. But neither is, look at the NBA versus the WNBA. Look at men's soccer versus women's soccer. That's not equal. Remember, the women's soccer just, won a couple lawsuits over their pay and their new contract and things like that. I mean, we separate by gender already, men, women. Why not have a separate category for transgender athletes? Knit1 says wrestling has a weight category. A high schooler who weighs 130 pounds doesn't wrestle a 220-pound wrestler. True. Like, so we already are used to these kind of, sectioning off of different athletes.
Evenly matching people, right?
Trying to as much as possible. Heather raises an interesting question, though. What if a trans person just wants to blend in, live their life instead of having a, hey, I'm trans spotlight on them, singling them out? Okay, but I think when it comes to sports, I mean, I'm totally fine if somebody is transgender and does not want to come out and say that, fine. But when you have to, qualify for a sport, I think that invites scrutiny, and it invites people asking, is this fair? And I think it's fair to ask if it's fair. I think that being deemed, transphobic simply for being like, look, I mean, we could see the difference in people. And yes, I have evolved in this as more people have come out as transgender athletes. I have said, okay, well, now let's wait a minute. What are we really striving for? Are we striving for acceptance? Okay, let's strive for acceptance. But that doesn't mean that having a separate league or team makes it so you're not being accepted. It makes it so you stop getting criticized and you could just play the damn game. That's what I would strive for, is the enjoyment of the game, people watching and not running out onto the court screaming what I would say hateful things simply because they feel like someone else is being discriminated against. Angel in the Bay Area writes, I'm trans. I do not want to see trans women on a women's team. I'm 6 feet, 180 pounds. So how am I equal to women athletes? Would you put Caitlyn Jenner on your track team? Interesting point. I would also say that there are cisgendered women that are 6 feet tall and 180 pounds. Right. And I would say that there are women that naturally, and as we've seen in track and field and things like that, hormones, genetics, there is a spectrum there, people. And a woman can identify as cisgendered and people are like, but you carry yourself like a man. You're more muscular than a man or than a woman. All these sorts of things. It's reality. It's what we deal with. It's not cut and dry. People want to be like, you have a penis, you're a man. You have a vagina, you're a woman. And we know that's not true. If I cut your penis off, are you still a man? Yes, if you consider yourself a man. So stop saying it's what's between your legs when we know it's not. It's what's between your ears, right? It's what society has kind of imprinted on you. It's all of those things. It's not cut and dry. And that's what I think we need to be open to and understand, and then obviously adapt to. So I don't think that it's good to go on volleyball courts where kids are playing, teens are playing, young adults are playing, and say there's men playing on a women's team. Transgender people exist. They are here. They should be accepted. They should have the same rights and privileges and opportunity as anybody else. But I am open to the idea of creating a separate league simply because there is always going to be this unevenness And we should address it and not shy away from it, tackle it head on, work together, and that's it. And understand that sports have always been like this, and there's nothing wrong with in my opinion, doing that.
Eric says, Nikki, they're being discriminated against. Forcing them to come out could literally endanger them.
They don't have to play sports. And I don't mean to be so blunt about it, but if you want to play sports, certain things about you come out. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that every transgender person has to be outed, but what I am saying is if you're going to play a sport and people know that you're transgender, and if they don't, then I don't see what the problem is. If you're a transgender athlete and nobody's questioning your gender of being on a female team, no harm, no foul, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah. But if they are, right, then there's the issue. I'm not talking about people that don't, quote unquote, need to come out because they're passing, right? So if you're passing, you're passing. Although in sports, there is medical tests, there's questions, and there's been this before. It's becoming more detailed, kind of offensively, in my opinion. But Jennifer says transgender athletes have been allowed in the Olympics for some time now. Good enough for the Olympics. Good enough for me. But I believe there's also, hormone levels and things like that I thought that the Olympics had included, specifically with swimming, I believe, or track. Trevor says, why not just have categories based on ability level rather than gender? Well, I mean, there's JV, there's varsity, there's, Division I, Division II. I mean, we have those sorts of things. I think that when we're talking about women versus transgender women, people are talking about capability because of the body and the edge that it gives them. And that's where the rub is, right? So Gordon says being trans is not a choice. No, of course not. You don't choose that as much as you choose anything else in your life, right? I didn't choose my eye color. I didn't choose my hair. And you don't choose, you know who you are. That's all that's all I have to say. But other people don't get to tell you who you are. Other people don't get to say you're a man, you're a woman, you're whatever. You know who you are. Randy says a 6 foot tall, 180 pound woman is in no way going to be as strong as a 6 foot tall, 180 pound man. Possibly, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying there. So again, I'm really kind of supportive of creating these leagues and creating open categories for teams that don't have enough transgender athletes that are out again. Yeah, Heather, I don't have a uterus anymore, but pretty sure I'm still a woman. Your gender is not your plumbing. Exactly. There's a difference between sex organs and gender. And before, back in the day, those were the exact same thing because we didn't fully understand. But there were people back in the day that did. If they just didn't feel safe coming out, and that was it. So thank you. Where's the rub is a ding word. Ding. Thank you. All right, let's, since we have a few more minutes, I have to talk about Gina Carano. I loved her in The Mandalorian. You don't watch the Star Wars things, do you, Kim? Mandalorian? Did you watch any of that?
I have watched The Mandalorian. I have seen bits and pieces as the other people in the house are watching it. Yeah.
So you know who she is. You know who Gina. Okay. So she was very, very good. She played Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, but she was dropped after she made some very offensive posts on social media and X, kind of equating her free speech and saying whatever she wanted to about transgender people. She did this whole beep bop boop thing that was offensive to people. She was offended. She is apparently offended by transgender people, whatever. Okay. She posted that. She kind of compared speaking out about, I think, COVID vaccines to the Holocaust. I mean, whatever. She said offensive things. It actually doesn't matter. She said offensive things and brought bad press to The Mandalorian and to Disney. Okay. And she was fired. She was removed from the show. Well, now she is suing. She wants a court order to restore her relationship with Disney LucasFilms. Elon Musk is stepping in to help fund the crusade because many of her statements were made on Twitter at the time. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Twitter's head of business operations said, quote, as a sign of X Corporation's commitment to free speech, we're proud to provide financial support for Gina Carano's lawsuit, empowering her to seek vindication of her free speech rights on X and the ability to work without bullying, harassment, or discrimination. Since when can you say whatever you want, bring bad press to your employer, and they have to keep you if they don't want to? Since when?
Yeah.
If I said something that offended KCBS, if I did something that they're like, you can't be at, on our radio station anymore because of X, Y, and Z. That's it. And thank you, Randy. Free speech doesn't mean no consequences. That's what
right.
I posted on X too. I don't know. She can continue to say whatever she wants to. Her free speech rights have not been violated. She posted it. She said it. She said it again. She doubled down. She's not in jail. She's not imprisoned. She's not murdered. She's not thrown in a concentration camp. She lost her job, which is her employer's right. And it's really funny that she wants to stop the criticism, the bullying, the harassment, the free speech of others to judge her words. It's really insane. But here's the other question, Kim. If you really felt that you were, your rights were violated by your employer, why would you want to go back and work for that employer?
That's right.
I feel like she's just been blacklisted. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants. And how about this, Gina? Nobody wants to work with somebody that's a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, why do I want to bring someone on that doesn't know? And they're like, oh, it's censorship. No, it's not. It's keeping your mouth shut when you have nothing to say. If you want to call that censorship, fine. I don't say half the crap I want to say. If I'm interviewing, and not on this show, but like if I was on KCBS, right, for instance,
Right.
and I'm interviewing somebody and I think they're full of crap, right? I don't say you're full of crap. Why? Because that's not my job. My job is to do an interview, present the information, and that's it.
And
right?
you present the information and you let people make their own choices.
Exactly.
People have to be listening to hear the inconsistencies in whatever people are having to say, right? Yeah.
I mean, my whole thing is she didn't have to say or post anything. She chose to, and she was able to, and people saw it, which means that she wasn't censored, right? She was able to express herself. She had all of her free speech, out there and honored, but her employer's like, you know what? I don't like it. And as your employer, I don't need to get the kickback from it. I don't need to face all this, hoopla and bad headlines and all that because you chose to spout your mouth or get behind your keyboard and say whatever you want to. You can continue to say whatever you want to. Exactly, Spencer. I don't need the headache though. So bye. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? That's hilarious, Angel. What if they bring her back and then kill her character? That's a creative license that LucasFilms and Disney would have. Lori says her coworkers could claim hostile work environment when she's present, right? Liz says she's going to have trouble finding work. That's a her problem. That's a her problem. How many people do you know, maybe it wasn't something that they wrote, but a crime they were alleged to have committed. You think Jussie Smollett is being hired right now? No. Right? All of these things can impact your ability to be hired. Heather says, if your employer makes it clear that they don't want you, why would you fight to try and force your way back into that workplace? Exactly. And do you think that any other employer is looking at what you're doing right now and being like, I want her on my team? No friggin' way.
No.
And Elon Musk is so full of crap. Like, he believes in his free speech. He doesn't believe in anybody else's free speech.
No.
You either agree with him or you're the, mainstream media lying to you, all that sort of stuff. It really chaps my hide, as I love to say, that people subscribe to one belief and don't understand how they're impeding on anybody else's. Thank you so much, Nick, for the $20 donation. I really wanted the wine glasses, but forgot to buy the tickets, but you still get my money. I love you.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, sorry. It was quick. I didn't do it for very long. It was a few days, but that's because, you guys got to, tap in, and the Niner cooler for the Niners playing the Super Bowl. I kind of was keeping it all. Well, we'll do more things, but thank you, Nick, so much for the $25 donation to it. Yeah, there you go. Phineas, Elon Musk should hire her to fight Zuckerberg. You know what? If Elon Musk thinks she's so hireable, hire her. There you go. Elon Musk, create your own LucasFilms. You have tons of money. You're supposedly so smart. Do that. Work with people that agree with you. But Disney, Lucasfilms does not need to hire you back. I think this is a total waste of time.
But it comes to this thing, and I completely agree with what Randy said. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence.
Exactly.
But what if it's just a general office setting?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, let's talk about KGO.
Okay.
We worked with a big old Trumper. right?
Who's the big old Trumper?
There was a woman who was a big Trumper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. You had to specify. Yes. I thought you meant a host. And I was like, who is a Trumper? Yes, we did. Very much so. Yes.
And so, and there was some people would allege that there was a bias there that came out in news writing or whatever else.
That's for sure. Yes.
And so, these things had to be looked at or what have you. The person wasn't fired for their political thoughts.
But if she came out, or if she was doing news, which she, some would argue had, and was calling out what she considered BS on the air, giving that kind of commentary during a news report, okay, I could see her getting fired for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
if she had been publicly saying things that were quoted in newspapers, that went against what the policy of the station is about being neutral, then they would have been very well within their rights, I would say.
Absolutely.
Because you can have your opinion, but it doesn't mean you need to spout it off everywhere. And if you do spout it off everywhere, well, then you should be aware that the consequence may be coming for you.
Thank you. Exactly. And again, you can say whatever you want to. Nobody's throwing you in jail, which is the point behind freedom of speech. But you can also be dubbed a pain in the ass and nobody wants to hire you. And sorry, Gina, that's exactly what happened to you. And let the friggin' dust settle too. I think this lawsuit is the worst thing she could do. It's sending a signal to other employers like she's not going to give up and she's an idiot. I really think that this is an idiotic lawsuit. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to work with you either at all. If you can't read the room also and be like, you know what? I totally agree with you, Elon, or whatever right-wing thing that is out there, but I have a job and a career I want to protect, and I'm not responsible for anyone else except myself, so no. John says, when Carano made anti-vax and Nazi statements, that could cause people to boycott whatever show she's on, so they have a clause in their contract that let them fire actors for that. Exactly.
No.
Especially in entertainment. You are representative of whatever you're on, and we don't need the headache. Yep, John, you can have your opinion, but you can eat it too. Very, very true. All right. Thank you guys so very much. Tomorrow's Friday. I will be in San Francisco very early in the morning. Kim, though, will be here.
If everything works and
yes.
Oh, what do you have on your shirt?
This is my blingy. Hold on. This is my blingy Niner shirt.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Really keeping my fingers crossed that it works out for our team. I'm keeping the faith. My husband was like, you didn't sound very faithful on the radio the other day. And I'm like, I am faithful. I am. Absolutely.
What did you say? Did you say something?
He's like, I'm sensing some doubt in your voice. Look, it's one game at a time. And I've been this way the whole season. Every single time. Yes, I'm standing behind my team. We can win this. We can win this. We totally can win this game. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to jinx anything. All right, let's give some thank yous. Scott, thank you so much for the two donations, $10 and $5. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker.
Doug.
Linda, thanks for the $10. And Nick, sorry you missed out on the raffle, but thank you so much for the $25 donation. You guys, and thank you for everyone that bought raffle tickets. I'm sorry it was so short. Next time we'll make it last a little bit longer. But any ideas that you have for other types of things that you would want, we're always open to it. I have some other ideas. Please take a look at your email or check out the poll that's in the show notes about self-improvement. I've got some interviews coming up in the can that we'll talk about. And please consider donating to our Patreon, thenikkimedoroshow.com. thenikkimedoroshow.com. The Patreon link is there. You can always PayPal us. Go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and then put in the show's email, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Luis, $5 donation, and a good luck to your Niners, Nikki. Thank you. There are Niners. Our team is going to win, damn it. All right, I love you guys. I will see you on Monday. Kim will be here tomorrow. Stay here for the Mark Thompson and after party shows. Love you guys. Go Niners!
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.